You're obviously on the product side of things, and,
Yeah.
and PPRO has a really diverse set of products to enable institutions, merchants, and payment companies to, operate across the world.
Yep.
But what's a product that you're particularly either proud of or really excites you and you really want to show off?
So each one of our products, if you think about it, and how we package is the payment method. But actually you need to decompose the payment method, to see a little bit of the challenges, how difficult it is to do it. So on one side, we need to board all of these merchants, and really make sure, that we receive all the information that they have then, that we can do the KYC, etc. Then we need to receive the transactions and send them, translate them and send them. Then we need to account for each one of the transactions that are happening. What is the revenue? When are we going to receive the money? When we should pay the money, and then send the money. Really move it. And then for each one of the payment methods, there's a slightly different way that we need to do each one of these things. And we package together to say, look, now you're going to have UPI. But the cool thing about it is, like, suddenly when you're going to do, for example, we have a flow that is QR code reading. And then when you scan it, you're able to do payment methods that kind of flow. Well, actually, you do it once, and you're gonna have 12 of them. And that's the concept, The concept is that it's really, we can normalize it not only on the flows, but also on the contracting and on the movement of the money.
I see, that's absolutely brilliant to be able to package all these disparate payment methods into one portfolio. That's what merchants want. That's what fintech is all about, is taking these kind of very diverse, ever-changing but important regulatory changes to have to follow. Having that in one package is so important. But also it kind of highlights PPRO's strength. And I'm going to ask you a difficult question here, and that is, with such a global outreach and having to connect so many different organizations across the world, so many different payment methods across the world, how does PPRO manage all that? That must be so, can you take our viewers through what it's like trying to create such a platform that works for everyone across the world?
I think one of the very difficult challenges is this thing of saying, how much do I need to keep it up authentic? And how much do I normalize? Because if I don't normalize, then I'm not making any service, to my clients, to be able to connect once, to have a single contract, to have a single, settlement in order to get all of it. But at the same time, it needs to be that same promise that you're getting what you would get if you go there into the market and you would contract that yourself.
Yes.
So that's for me, one of the big challenges. And then the other thing that is really challenging is managing all this contracting, So negotiating with each one of the payment methods, that they understand, what is the value that we are bringing, and then we're trying also to make a lot of these payment methods, are not used to be distributed internationally. So they're not used, to some of the challenges, they have. Suddenly they're exposed to PSPs and merchants that are in Asia, while they were always focused in Europe, and then suddenly they are exposed, to regulations that they don't understand. So managing all of that and making sure that we handle the liabilities and the contracting correct is very challenging.
I can imagine, but it highlights the amount of work that gets put into this, and it also highlights the demand that customers have, and the fact that if merchants were having to do this on their own, it'd be impossible. And having a partner like PPRO to do that just highlights how important you guys are to the ecosystem.
And through the years, now that we have this global reach, we start to see patterns. Before it was really challenging. But for example, we're super focused in Europe, and that there's a lot of account-to-account payment methods, right?
Yes.
And so you see that, you start to see patterns within those very specific payment methods. But the first time that suddenly you're doing a wallet, wow, it's very different. Different flows, different stakeholders. How does it work? And now that we're starting to be, in 4 regions, mainly in Europe, Latin America, the US, and in APAC, we start to see those patterns, and I think we make much better choices, on simplifying that for our clients.
Now let's take a step up the chain and look at the PSPs and the fintechs that operate as well, utilizing PPRO's technology. How can you help them reduce their complexity as well as the merchants at the end of the chain?
Mm-hmm. So I think I would highlight 2 things, The first thing is all of our set of APIs and all of our tools that we have are modular. And so we really acknowledge, that we need to complement what they already have. So typically, we don't provide them, Visa and MasterCard, Actually, they already have solved, that, and they're much better than us, into doing that. And we acknowledge that. What we want is that they're able to offer full markets. and that suddenly, they needed to have Visa, MasterCard, but they also need, to have Ideal in the Netherlands, if they want to have a successful launch in Europe. Or they also want, they're already present in India, but they're missing this other part, of having UPI cross-border in order to complement that. That's what we want. And they can pick and choose, what they need from our services, from being only the boarding, only the processing, and we believe, that adding all of them, it really increases the value. So that's one side. And then on the other side is we work with these payment methods every day. We really process transactions. We process transactions at scale.
Yeah.
We really understand how they work and what they're good for. And so we can really help them commercialize them, understand how they're better used, for which verticals, for which use cases, etc.
So there's a real bit of informed kind of tutoring as well as kind of a product for just an actual product, right?
Correct. And especially for someone, that has always been doing cards, maybe it's a little bit difficult sometimes to understand these other things and how a consumer in Brazil really uses Pix, and in which situations and how it is done, and how you should integrate that in the merchant checkout. We can provide all this advice, and it really helps them.
So that is brilliant here. From a product perspective, you have that advisory level. You also have that modular architecture that's just so important. And well, if we then take everything we've said here today, then I'm gonna ask you the hardest question of all. And that is kind of, I love your kind of perspective from the product side. It means that you're always dialed into the technology and where the issues are actually gonna present themselves. Where do you see the payments industry going in the next couple of years? What trends do you think that PPRO's products are gonna really be able to help people in the future with?
For me, the first one, is really cross-border.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. I think if you look at the present, I'm constantly frustrated about it, because I see all the potential, but at the same time, I'm always constantly hopeful about it. Is what drives me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we see how easy it is every day, to buy things all around the world, but we're not there,
Yeah.
Everyone should be included. And so I think this continuous trend, of enabling the access to local payment methods, it's going to continue. And we really want to help the consumers and also the merchants to be able to build these amazing, payment experiences. Then the other thing is, I think for the first time, I'm starting to see use cases that are successful in open banking. There has been for a long time this promise that having access to bank accounts is going to be beneficial to consumers. They're going to be able to use it. I start to see that at the checkouts. I start to see UIs that work properly, and that I can see that is interesting. And then another trend that I'm seeing is going towards real-time payments. I think there's a long way to go there,
right,
but speeding up more and more and more how funds are moved all around the world. And I think it's going to take a long time, and different regions, going to be at different stages, but I think that is going to continue.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, it is an evolution. What started as a revolution, it now means you've just got to constantly keep updating. And having a partner like PPRO is just, your sole mission is to help them with that is so important. So Javier, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.